Sinwar, who he was, and why he was killed. Let me break it down simply and clearly. Yahya Sinwar is a prominent political and military figure within the Palestinian group Hamas. Born in the Khan Yunis refugee camp in the Gaza Strip in 1962, Sinwar is considered one of the most powerful leaders of Hamas, especially in Gaza. His biography is marked by his rise from the grassroots of the organization to becoming one of its top leaders. Early life and involvement in Hamas. Sinwar was raised in a refugee camp where he experienced the hardships of life under Israeli occupation. He became involved in Hamas from its earliest days, working with Sheikh Ahmed Yassin, the founder of the organization, in the 1980s. Sinwar was particularly involved with the security and intelligence wing of Hamas, called Mash, which focused on identifying and punishing suspected collaborators with Israel. Imprisonment and release. In 1988, Yahya Sinwar was arrested by Israeli authorities and sentenced to multiple life terms in prison for his role in orchestrating the killing of Palestinians suspected of collaborating with Israel. He spent over 2 decades in prison, where he gained a reputation as a strong and influential figure within the ranks of Hamas incarcerated members. Sinwar was released in 2011 as part of a prisoner exchange deal between Israel and Hamas, which saw the release of over 1,000 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit. Upon his release, Sinwar quickly re-entered the upper echelons of Hamas leadership. Leadership and role in Hamas. In 2017, Sinwar was elected as the head of Hamas in Gaza, marking a shift toward more militarized and hardline leadership within the organization. Under his leadership, Hamas continued to focus on armed resistance against Israel, overseeing multiple military confrontations, and continuing to develop military capabilities, including rocket arsenals. Yahya Sinwar has also been involved in shaping Hamas's political stance, balancing military resistance with periods of tactical ceasefires and negotiations through intermediaries. His leadership solidified Hamas' control over Gaza, which it has maintained since 2007. Sinwar is known for his uncompromising stance toward Israel, but has occasionally engaged in talks mediated by Egypt and other regional actors to de-escalate tensions or negotiate temporary truces. Personal life and characteristics. Sinwar's experience in Israeli prisons has shaped his worldview and leadership style. He is described as a pragmatic, though hardline leader, who is willing to engage in negotiations when it benefits Hamas' long-term goals. His leadership style is seen as both strategic and militaristic, focused on maintaining Hamas's control in Gaza while ensuring the group's ability to resist Israeli actions. Sinwar remains a controversial figure, viewed by supporters as a freedom fighter resisting occupation, and by critics as a militant leader responsible for violence and instability in the region. A top Hamas leader has reportedly died following his involvement in the October 7th massacre, for which he was wanted by Israeli forces. Sinwar, considered one of the masterminds behind the coordinated attacks that led to the death of hundreds of Israeli civilians, had been a significant target following the atrocities. His leadership in planning and executing these acts of terror solidified his position as a central figure in Hamas's military operations. Sinwar, who had previously risen through Hamas's ranks after his 2011 release in a prisoner swap, was instrumental in directing violent actions against Israel. The October 7th attack marked one of the most deadly escalations in recent history, leading to widespread international condemnation. Israel, vowing to hold those responsible accountable, had been pursuing Sinwar and other top Hamas figures in the wake of the massacre. Sinwar's death comes amid heightened tensions and ongoing military operations between Hamas and Israel. His role in the massacre, coupled with his leadership in Gaza, ensured he remained a high-profile figure until his death, which now leaves questions about the future leadership of Hamas and potential shifts in the ongoing conflict.